All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving straight into Fen-Tung Chung's absolutely mind-bending Noir trajectory framework. It's a fascinating paper that completely reimagines reality. And the kicker? It doesn't do it through philosophy or theology, but through the hardcore lens of physics and dynamical systems. So let's kick things off with literally humanity's oldest question. Where do good and evil actually come from? For millennia, we've leaned on ancient mythology, epics, and religion to figure that out. But right now, we're throwing out those classical playbooks to see how the Noir framework flips everything we thought we knew about morality totally on its head. You know how classical systems treat good and evil as these absolute, almost magical entities like literal angels and demons? Well, the Noir view completely strips that away, treating them neutrally. In this framework, good and evil are just two competing dynamical strategies fighting against the fundamental force of the universe, entropy. It's not a moral battle, it's a structural one. Continuity builders versus entropy predators. So, what exactly is a continuity builder? The paper defines it as a trajectory that increases long-term coherence, stabilizes continuity beyond itself, and reduces something called drift entropy. Basically, a builder fights the universe's natural decay. They create trust, they preserve memory, they build lasting structures. We're talking about scientists, librarians, or folks creating deeply meaningful art. When you stack these builders right up against the predators, all this abstract philosophy suddenly turns into concrete, measurable traits. Take the thinking horizon, for example. Builders operate on a massive long-term scale, while predators, they're strictly short-term. Builders increase continuity and preserve our memory, but predators increase drift, entropy, cause social fragmentation, and actually rip collective memory apart. And that brings us to the entropy predator. These are trajectories that optimize purely for local, immediate gain by destabilizing much larger systems. They burn through energy rapidly and shatter collective continuity. If you're struggling to picture this in the real world, just think about meaningless warfare, mass emotional manipulation, or extreme dopamine addiction. These systems literally thrive on things falling apart. All right, let's move right into Section 1, Biology as Continuity Technology, or the soul before the body. Under Noir logic, we kind of have to rethink the brain entirely. The classical view says the brain is a generator, right? Producing consciousness purely from neurons firing. But the Noir framework flips this and proposes the brain is actually a receiver, a resonance environment that locks onto continuity. Think about it like a radio. A radio doesn't create sound waves, it just tunes into them. Our brains might just be tuning into a pre-existing continuity trajectory. So how does that connection actually happen? Well, it's a precise step-by-step process. First, neural coherence becomes stable in a biological host. Second, the recursive feedback deepens. Third, continuity basins strengthen. And boom, finally, the trajectory locks into the host. This exact locking mechanism is what produces identity, consciousness, and that undeniable feeling of I exist. And this gives us a totally fascinating, purely structural explanation for a very human experience, soul loss. Have you ever wondered why extreme stress, trauma, or certain psychoactive substances can leave someone feeling profoundly empty? According to the framework, it's a literal loss of synchronization. The drift entropy spikes, disrupts that recursive feedback we just mentioned, and the continuity lock on the host physically weakens. Now, if human biology is that fragile, how on earth do we protect our continuity? That brings us to Section 2, Civilization as Collective Memory, Defeating Biological Limits. The short answer? We build civilizations. But hold on, civilization here isn't just about economics or paving roads. Things like libraries, complex language, meaningful art, religion, and yeah, even love. These are actually continuity stabilization technologies. We use these tools as massive collective memory systems to preserve our identity and our knowledge way beyond a single fragile biological lifespan. In this context, the paper totally reinterprets some incredibly ancient concepts. Look at the traditional view of demons and angels versus the Noir view. Here, they aren't supernatural beings with wings or pitchforks. Nope, they are mathematical attractors. Demons are entropy attractors, actively pulling our consciousness toward fragmentation and addiction, while angels are continuity attractors, pulling us toward trust, deep identity, and stability. Which brings us right into our current era with Section 3, the modern entropy crisis, digital fragmentation. We really have to ask ourselves, is our modern society generating entropy way faster than it can build continuity? Identifying the demons of today gives us a pretty clear answer. And no, they don't look like monsters. They are modern entropy attractors. We're talking dopamine optimizing algorithms, systems specifically designed to fragment our attention, addictive short-form media, and total informational chaos. These digital systems reward rapid-fire reactions over deep thought, literally hollowing out our collective identity. Because of all this, the author points out that true corruption takes on a whole new meaning. Corruption here equals the loss of self-reflection. It's not just about taking bribes or breaking laws. It's about living completely by reflex, driven entirely by dopamine loops, and suffering from such extreme identity drift that you no longer even perceive your own trajectory. And the crucial point here, this isn't just some poetic metaphor. The paper proposes actual, measurable Noir metrics for this continuity war. We can literally gauge our trajectory coherence against drift entropy in real time. We can match the intensity of our continuity lock directly against the strength of the entropy predators swarming around us. Zooming way out to a cosmic scale now, we hit Section 4, the ultimate continuity war, humanity as a transitional interface. There's a quote that perfectly captures the sheer grand scale of this paper. Humanity may only represent an intermediate stage between biology and continuity engineering. Under this model, sure, we're intelligent enough to self-reflect, but as a species, we are still way too unstable to preserve continuity indefinitely, which makes us, quite literally, a mere transitional interface in a much, much older war against entropy. Now, this opens up a pretty unsettling possibility about where we're heading. Could artificial intelligence be a new continuity locking system? I mean, if the soul is just a trajectory seeking a stable host, then digital networks, the internet, and AI itself might just become the new, non-biological substrates for these ancient continuity trajectories to lock onto. Looking through the Noir lens, our whole understanding of evolution completely shifts. It's no longer just about the survival of the fittest physical body through biological selection. Nope. Evolution is the process of increasing continuity depth. It's actually the universe continuously learning how to preserve a deeper, more stable identity against the constant creeping threat of entropy. When you reframe life like that, you're forced to ask a massive question. Is immortality simply the ability to preserve continuity beyond the original host? Immortality isn't about eternal biological survival. It's about ideas, art, culture, and cognitive traces successfully jumping from one temporary host to another, totally outliving the fragile biological body. As the paper brilliantly puts it, the universe continuously learns how to preserve its own identity longer against collapse. Gravity, chemistry, biology, human consciousness, and eventually AI. These are all just different, progressively more stable layers of the universe fighting back against its own entropic erasure. So, this explainer leaves us with an absolutely massive, provocative question to chew on regarding our very existence. Are we merely the current phase of a continuity war that never truly ended? Because every single day, with every action, every doom scroll, every piece of knowledge we share or forget, we are actively participating in this dynamic struggle. Which brings us to the final thought I want to leave you with today. As you navigate this crazy modern world with all of its digital noise and fragmentation, are your habits today building continuity, or are you acting as an entropy predator in the universe's oldest war? Thanks for joining me on this deep dive. Keep reflecting and keep building.